Hi, everyone, once again to another episode of our Health Innovators series. I am very excited, as I always am, to bring to the virtual table another physician innovator. And this time around, we are welcoming Dr. Lennox McNeary. Did I get that name right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, wonderful. I just wanted to make sure. And so welcome to this episode. And without further ado, I'm going to give you the floor, and you can let us know not only about yourself, but also a little bit about your training.
Okay. Thanks for having me today. So I am a PM&R physician by training, mostly working in the inpatient setting. So working with people who've had brain injuries, spinal cord injuries, polytrauma, that sort of thing. And I did that until last July when I actually left my medical practice full-time to work in my current business. So it's been quite a transition of the past year. And I live in Roanoke, Virginia, where it is absolutely gorgeous outside today. Mom of one small person, I guess actually taller than me now, but still a young kid. And that I feel like that's about it these days.
Okay, wonderful. So let's briefly talk about your innovation. Give us sort of like a 30,000 foot overview and a summary, because again, most people that are going to be watching this will see all of the information above the video.
Okay. So as a physician, we all have to go through a credentialing process before we can start seeing patients. And the first time I went through it, it was right when I left residency, and it was a pain, but it was one of those, everybody walks uphill both ways in the snow. This is just what you have to do. Suck it up. And so I did. And as we started trying to hire people into my practice, as I said, we were in Roanoke, Virginia, which is a beautiful place, but it's kind of hard to recruit people to live here because it's a smaller town. And twice we had physicians that we hired. They went through the entire credentialing process right at 120 days, and their credentialing fell through. Wow. And it was devastating. It was devastating for them because they had relocated families. They had bought, one of them had even bought a house. And so he and his wife had to suddenly sell their new house and find another job. For us, it was devastating because we had 3 physicians with really young kids, and we were on call every third night, and we're looking forward to having every fourth night and fourth weekend call and starting to get some semblance of a life back. And so the more I researched this process, I realized that it really hasn't changed much since the 1980s, and there are a lot of reasons for that. And so one of my friends here who works more in administration, but he's also a physician, we started talking about it and decided this was something we really felt needed to be fixed. And so that was how we ended up doing this. And we've developed some software that streamlines the credentialing process and gives physicians access to add their information, but also allows hospital systems to add and verify information within minutes instead of the typical 40 to 60 day timeline that part of the process takes.
Wow, that's fabulous. I can absolutely see the need for this. So that's great. All right. So focusing on you, the person behind the innovation, to get to know you a little bit better. So who's the you that's behind the white coat?
So, I still identify as a PM&R physician, even though I'm not practicing right now. And we were at sailing camp with my son last week, and it was funny how often I was being asked medical questions and really miss doing that now that I'm not practicing. But I am very much still a physician at heart. I also have really enjoyed being a mom over the past year. I feel like I missed the first 12 years of my kid's life. And I actually had turned in my notice before COVID hit. I had been trying to go part-time. And I think like many people who go part-time, I was being paid part-time, but still working full-time, and decided that just didn't work. And so when I left my practice in July, it worked out well because my son and his best friend were doing virtual school from home. So I've gotten to have lunches with my kid. I've gotten to help with homework. I've gotten to do scouts, going to scout camp next week, which is going to be a fun experience. Amazing. So it's been really incredible to have this opportunity to be a mom while my kid still actually wants me to be a mom. I think in a year or two, we're going to be past that. So I've enjoyed getting to see the mom side of life a little bit.
That completely resonates on a different level. All right. Very, very cool. Run us through a typical Dr. McNeary day.
I'm not sure there is a typical day. And I have really bad ADD, so I try to make it as typical as possible. But I usually wake up around 6 to 6:30, get up, make coffee, clean the kitchen, just get everybody ready to get out of the house. And then I try to have a couple focused blocks of time. I really try not to schedule meetings in the morning because I'm a morning person. So I get up and try to work as much as I can, usually with my dog, who is behind me, in tow. He likes to participate in whatever I'm doing. And so Usually morning is focus time. And then afternoon, I tend to have more meetings, doing more sales calls, things like that. And then when my son gets finished with school or camp, as it is right now, try to have a little time with him in the evenings to work on whatever we're working on and a little time as a family. And usually throw in some exercise sometime during the day. When I start getting tired mid-morning, I usually go down. That's another nice thing about being home. I can just run downstairs and work out midday and don't have to plan it around other things.
Fabulous. All right, let's move on to an interaction that you've had that has really helped to shape this particular innovative venture.
So I think, as I mentioned early on, it was watching colleagues go through this process and just having the rug pulled out from under them at the last minute really pushed me into this. I didn't start out wanting to start a business, but it was something, I think, like many physician entrepreneurs, we see something in our system that's broken and we feel like we understand it better than an outsider does. And so that really pushed me into this. The other piece that's kind of funny is that my best friend, her husband teaches base jumping. And so that was actually how I got connected into all of this. She teaches base jumping and he'd gotten paid in Bitcoin then in 2013, I think. And so she had come to visit me in 2017 when the cryptocurrency market was going nuts. And every couple minutes, she was making $1,000 in cryptocurrency. And I thought this was crazy. And so I made her explain blockchain to me. And she's also a physician. And so as we were talking about credentialing, and then she told me about blockchain, we both just had this light bulb moment where we said, this is an easy way to fix that. Not surprisingly, it turned out to not be as easy as we thought it was going to be. But that was the other thing that really pushed me where we are now.
Fabulous. Is there a really interesting part of your life that you are willing to share with us?
I don't feel like I'm doing, it's funny. I feel like I'm not doing much exciting. I think as physicians, we tend to downplay what we've done. But man, I worked really hard to be a physician and I walked away from my career to become a CEO of a tech startup. So I think that's actually probably really interesting to a lot of people, just because it's not something we are trained to do. I don't think we think it's an option when we start med school. And this past year has been incredible. I thought I was too old to learn new things. And I've done 2 accelerator programs, one with Lighthouse Labs in Richmond and then another with RevTech out of Charlotte. And it's been like getting 2 mini MBAs in entrepreneurship. And when I look back at what I've learned over the past year, to a large extent, it feels like being an M1 again. And just that drinking from a fire hose, learning about finance. And I remember the first pitch I did, somebody said, "Can you send me your one sheet?" And I said, "Sure." And then as soon as I got off the call, I was Googling what's in a one sheet. What goes in a pitch deck? My partner was laughing at me the other day because I'd put together our financials and was talking through them with him. And he said, "You could not have done this a year ago." And so seeing how much I've learned in the past year and then just this second life and second career, I think is actually pretty interesting.
Very cool. Totally resonates. So best of luck to you. Okay. Moving on to something a little bit lighter. Are you team coffee or are you team tea?
I was actually team Diet Coke until after residency. I don't know how I made it through residency without drinking coffee. But my husband went on a 3-week hiking trip at the same time that my work partner went on vacation for a week when my son was 2. And apparently that pushed me over the edge to learn to drink coffee. So now I'm very much in the team coffee camp first thing, but then I switch over to team tea after my first hit of caffeine in the morning. So I actually am in both.
Interesting. And is there a particular brand that you love of coffee or tea?
For coffee, I just signed up for a subscription thing where they send you a different bag every 2 to 4 weeks. And it's been really fun trying different coffees because apparently I'm one of those, I like my coffee to be able to stand the spoon up in it. And so getting to try different ones and see what I like. And then tea, I love a good ginger tea.
Okay, fab. Good to know. All right. Is there a resource, and it doesn't have to be anything necessarily educational, it could be fun, but what's a good resource that you think works for either learning or for entertaining yourself, but something that's either a book, a podcast, a TV show, or anything?
Couple things. There's a podcast called Life of Productivity, which I really like. It's a guy and his partner, and they do little experiments and see how they work with their life. So it may be cutting out caffeine or cutting out social media or journaling or meditating and the impact it has on their lives. And I like it because it's a short burst and good to do while I'm folding laundry. I'm a huge audiobook fan too, so I always do that when I'm running around the house. And then my husband has been doing Duolingo and learning very excited about being able to travel again. So he's learning Italian. And so I have started working on my French, which is really rusty. And that gives me a good, it's that dopamine hit, I think, that you sometimes need. And so I feel like if I'm procrastinating and I just need a little dopamine hit, that is a much more productive dopamine hit than scrolling Facebook. So that's something I have moved towards over the last couple of weeks, to just trying to do my 5 minutes of Duolingo when I need a break from whatever I'm working on.
Well, I mean, and speaking of innovation, I think that Duolingo really fits that innovative category, and specifically about the dopamine hit. I know Duolingo because my family uses it as well. They all learn Spanish, but I think what's interesting is like that they've incorporated like friendly competition in it, almost, you know, in a way that makes you want to play it because you kind of want to win.
Yeah.
But you're learning as you do it.
And you're learning, and it's giving you that feedback with the bells and the stars. We all want gold stars, right? I used to give them to my patients on the rehab unit. I would have stickers and give them a good job star. And so this is my way. I joke with scouts that my son gets merit badges, and I feel like I should get something. I'm proud of myself when I learn to tie a new knot or do something new too. Right. I want my star or my merit badge or something. So I think this is my way of getting that positive reinforcement that, hey, you've accomplished something.
Totally. Humans are very interesting. Yeah. All right. We like to not focus on weaknesses and pitfalls because you're a bad human. We like to focus on them because you are a good human and successful. And so the question we have for you is there a weakness or a pitfall that you experience that we can now learn from?
So I think, and I would really be curious to poll physician entrepreneurs and physicians in general. I think physicians as a group tend to lean towards having ADD more than the average population. And I think entrepreneurs do as well. So it'd be interesting to look at our little subset of physician entrepreneurs and see how many of us have ADD. But that has been something that has really been a challenge for me this year when I am chief cook and bottle washer. I have a business partner and some colleagues, but I'm the one who's full time. Right. And so trying to balance all of these moving parts. And I've realized that my brain does not work the way other people's do. And so trying to think through a process, being a project manager, essentially, I really struggle with that. And I look at the way other people's brains work, and I think I would like mine to do that. But at the same time, I also think ADD can be a real blessing when you can get it to focus and you can harness the power for good. It's a superpower.
Absolutely. Oh, no, I agree. That's great. Okay, let's go to the final question, which is something that hopefully will help you. And that's, what's an ask that you have?
We are getting ready to launch an update to our product that will allow physicians to be able to actually add their information into our system. And I would love, I don't know if it's possible to do this with you, but to share a link that people could go to and actually sign up to get on the waiting list for that, because that will help us as we're talking to hospitals, systems, and to investors. If we can say we have X number of physicians who are interested in this in addition to the hospital systems.
Yeah. You can just say it. And otherwise, we have, again, written your episode into SoMeDocs.com or doctorsonsocialmedia.com.
Okay.
So what is it? Do you know it off the top of your head?
It's actually, if they can go to archivecore.us, and then there'll be a landing page that says for physicians, and then they can go there and just sign up on the list. And I promise we won't spam with email.
Wonderful. All right. So that was a great ask. And thank you so much for joining the Health Innovator series. This has been Dr. Lennox McNeary. I'm Donna Coriel, and have a fabulous day. And thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.